Something has just come to light that could change everything for millions of people who rely on PIP, and this isn't an exaggeration. If you receive personal independence payment, or if someone in your family does, you need to hear this. What I'm about to reveal could impact you directly, and the numbers are far more alarming than most people realize. Nearly 9 out of 10 claimants could soon lose their PIP payments after major changes announced by the Department for Work and Pensions. But the question is, what's really happening behind the scenes? Why is this shift happening now? And could your name already be on the silent list of those set to be affected? This isn't about rumors or scare tactics, this is real, and the information came out just a few hours ago. The changes being proposed aren't minor adjustments or routine reviews, these are deep, structural reforms that could reshape how support is given to disabled people across the country, and not in a good way. So the big question is, what triggered this sudden change in direction? Why are thousands, possibly millions, suddenly being put at risk of losing a benefit they rely on? And most importantly, what aren't they telling you up front? I'm David, and if you've ever felt confused or left in the dark about how these government policies really affect everyday people like us, then this is the video for you. I'll break it all down so you can understand exactly what's going on, without the jargon, and with your interests at the center. In this video, I'll be showing you exactly what's changing and when, who is most at risk, and how you can find out if you're one of them. I'll also tell you what steps you can still take, even if your payments are on the line. Because here's the truth, people who act early are often the ones who avoid the worst surprises. That's why I need you to stay with me through this entire video. Every small detail could make a difference. Missing just one piece of information could cost you more than you expect. So don't skip ahead. Don't click away. This isn't just news, this could be your future income, your independence, your security. And believe me, there's one small line buried in the government report that shocked even me. When I show it to you, you'll understand just how serious this is, and why so few people are talking about it. The media isn't highlighting that part. But I will. Let's get into the truth behind what's happening, and what you must do now before it's too late. Now, as you already know, nearly 9 out of 10 people who rely on PIP payments might be facing a serious change. This is huge, and if you or someone you care about is receiving PIP, this might just be the most important video you'll watch today. The new changes by the Department for Work and Pensions, or DWP, are making waves, and in this video, we're going to dive deep into what these changes really mean, how they could affect you, and what actions you can take to make sure you're not left in the lurch. PIP, or Personal Independence Payment, is a vital lifeline for many disabled people in the UK. It's a benefit that helps with the extra costs associated with disability, whether it's mobility issues or care needs. For so many people, PIP is not just a small monthly benefit, it's a necessity, covering things like travel, extra help around the home, and other costs that come with living with a disability. So, when the government starts talking about making changes to PIP, it's not something we can afford to ignore. The most shocking part of this new change is that nearly 90% of current claimants could find themselves losing their PIP payments or seeing their amount slashed. Just imagine waking up one day to find that the financial support you depend on, sometimes for basic everyday tasks, is no longer there, or significantly reduced. That's what many of the elderly and disabled are now facing as these changes move forward. But why is this happening? And how did we get to this point? Well, the government has been under pressure to make some significant cuts to public spending. While these cuts are affecting a wide range of services, the ones that deal with benefits, especially those like PIP, seem to be in the crosshairs. The changes being proposed are set to streamline the system, reduce waste, and ensure that only those who are most in need get support. But what does that even mean? And more importantly, who decides who is most in need? Now, here's the big problem. The DWP is planning to review how PIP claimants are assessed, and this is where many people might fall through the cracks. The assessment process will look at a person's ability to carry out daily living tasks or get around. But here's the catch, it's not just about whether you can physically do things, it's also about how they assess the impact on your life. For example, someone with a condition that might not be obvious, like arthritis, for example, could easily fall through the cracks if the assessment doesn't properly consider how such a condition impacts their ability to live independently. Imagine if you struggle to walk or lift heavy objects, but you look perfectly fine on the outside. A person assessing your claim may not fully understand just how tough daily tasks can be. This is a real concern for many seniors who are living with conditions that aren't immediately obvious but still affect their daily lives in major ways. It's not just about whether or not you can walk, but whether you can walk to the store, carry groceries, or even get out of bed and get dressed. These are the kinds of practical impacts that the DWP's new changes aren't taking into account properly. Another thing that many of you may not be aware of is that there will be new rules about the evidence required to qualify for PIP. Previously, people could provide supporting evidence from their doctor, specialist, or caregiver to show how their condition affects their day-to-day living. But under these changes, the DWP plans to make it even harder to prove that you need support. They are focusing more on objective evidence rather than your personal account of your condition. This could mean that some seniors will find it much more difficult to provide the kind of documentation needed to keep receiving the support they need. Now, if you're one of the many seniors who rely on PIP, this should be concerning. These changes aren't just affecting new applicants. Many long-standing claimants are being told that their eligibility will be reviewed, and in many cases, this could result in losing the benefit altogether. That means if you've been receiving PIP for years, don't assume that you're automatically safe. The rules are changing, and you might find yourself having to prove your need all over again. And in some cases, even if you continue to qualify, you might see your payments reduced. But this isn't just a matter of one payment being lost. The ripple effect of losing PIP payments can be far-reaching. Many people depend on their PIP to pay for things like additional care, transportation, and even essential everyday items. Losing this support could cause a lot of hardship, especially for seniors who may already be struggling to make ends meet. So, if you're worried about how these changes might affect you, I totally understand. You might be asking, well, what can I do about it? The first thing you need to know is that it's not too late to act. You have options, and you can take steps to protect yourself before these changes hit. For starters, if you are due for a PIP assessment, make sure that you provide as much evidence as possible. This could include medical records, letters from your doctor or specialist, and any other documents that show how your condition affects your daily life. It's also important to be honest about the impact your condition has on your ability to function. If you haven't had an assessment in a while, now might be the time to request one. The DWP is likely to start reassessing older cases, so don't wait until it's too late to have your case reviewed. And, if you feel that your assessment was unfair or didn't properly account for the full impact of your condition, don't hesitate to appeal. The system isn't perfect, but you have the right to fight for the support you deserve. Additionally, if you're already receiving PIP, keep track of any changes in your health or circumstances. If your condition worsens or you develop a new issue that affects your ability to carry out daily tasks, make sure the DWP knows about it. Even small changes can have a significant impact on your eligibility for PIP, so don't be shy about letting them know how things are going. Another key step to take is to stay informed. The government isn't always forthcoming with updates, and sometimes it feels like you have to dig for the truth. But by subscribing to reliable sources, following news on PIP, and keeping an eye on any letters or updates from the DWP, you can stay ahead of the curve. It's always better to know what's coming, so you can be prepared. The reality is, these changes are a big deal, and they could affect a huge number of seniors and disabled people in the UK. But that doesn't mean you have to just accept what's coming. You can fight for your rights, stay informed, and take action to protect your benefits. Now more than ever, it's critical that we support one another and make sure that our voices are heard. The system is complicated, but together, we can make sure we're not left behind. So, if you're worried about the future of your PIP payments, don't sit back and wait. Take control of the situation today. Stay informed, gather your evidence, and don't be afraid to speak up. The DWP might be making these changes, but that doesn't mean you have to take it lying down. There's still time to act, and I'm here to make sure you have all the information you need to stay ahead of the curve.